Peace, shalom, hello. I'm Doug Smith with the Virginia Interfaith Center for Public Policy in Richmond. Thanks so much for inviting us and being great partners in advocacy at the Virginia State Capitol as well as Congress. Tremendous justice needs to be done, and people of faith can do that when we come together. Thanks again.
My name is Rick Arenstein. I'm an old-timer, and Richard Sabat asked me to take care of some business for him before we reconvene. I hope you had good visits with our elected officials. I hope they were attentive and in attendance. Know that some of the best people on the Hill are their legislative assistants, and I know we met with some of them in different venues today. Those folks will carry your message and are good contacts during the off-season when the legislature is not in session for all of you as well. I want to thank the partners from around the Commonwealth today for making this such a success. Ron Halber, who is the Executive Director, and Deborah Linnick, who is the Assistant Director of the JCRC of Greater Washington. CRC Director from the United Jewish Federation of Tidewater, and Richard Gordon, CRC Chair for the United Jewish Community of the Virginia Peninsulas, who make collaborations with all of us with Washington, this truly a Jewish statewide effort. So thank you for responding to their calls for leadership. Thank you for being leaders and for voices of our great community. And at this time, it's my pleasure to introduce Ron Halber of the JCRC of Greater Washington to introduce our first speaker.
I am Cookie Hymer Blitz, who was a few minutes ago missing in action. I am now back, and I am co-chair for Northern Virginia and the JCRC of Greater Washington. It is our pleasure to be here today with all of you, particularly because we almost got iced out. So we're very happy to be here and glad to see all of you. I would like to take a moment, this moment, to welcome our esteemed guest, Governor Bob McDonnell, and thank him so much for being with us. Many of you know the governor. He is no stranger to our community or to public service, having spent 2 decades in the military before becoming a state delegate, chairman of the House Courts of Justice Committee, Virginia Attorney General, and now governor. We are so pleased to welcome him for his 6th visit to Jewish Advocacy Day. Over that time, he's introduced many initiatives that are important to the citizens of Virginia. He's worked to address fraud and internet safety issues for all Virginians, especially youth and seniors. He's visited Israel with the National Association of Attorney Generals and spoke passionately to our communities about the common values and rule of law that Israel and the United States share. He recognized and articulated the need to divest assets that support nuclear ambitions of the Iranian regime. As governor, he has aggressively pursued job growth and the goal of making Virginia an energy capital among the mid-Atlantic states. In these areas, we can find much common ground with the governor's initiatives, and our statewide agenda this year focuses on finding clean alternative fuels and weaning our dependence from foreign oil. We also share our support for a robust budget for the Virginia-Israel Advisory Board and its creation of between 100 and 150 new jobs in Virginia annually. Finally, where we agree to disagree on the sensitive issue of the boundaries between religious expression and the entanglement of religion and government, there has always been an opportunity with the governor to air our concerns in a respectful way and work towards common goals. It is with friendship and enthusiasm that I introduce you to Virginia's 71st Governor, Bob McDonnell. Thank you. Nice to see you.
Thank you very, very much. Nice to see you again. Good. Thank you for that very kind introduction. Thank you. Thank you very much for that very nice warm introduction back for my 6th in a row. I really appreciate being here. I got the roughest speaking slot right after lunch. That's when everybody starts to doze a little bit, especially after probably your early morning wake up this morning. But let me welcome you to your capital, the city of Richmond. Great to see such a good turnout again for Jewish Advocacy Day, and I think this is so important what you do. And I say this every year, but it bears repeating, and that is a citizen legislature, a citizen-driven government like the one that we have in Virginia only works if the citizens are actively involved, that you take time away from your regular jobs, and many of you are leaders in business, cultural organizations, government, and certainly within the Jewish community and Jewish organizations within your areas, but to take time and come up and look at legislators in the eye, hear from your elected officials, and then go visit them, tell them what's important to you, tell them what's on your agenda, why you think it's important, and ask for their help, and then remind them that you vote. I think it's very important and very effective, having done this now for 20 years, and I salute you for continuing to do that. Got several members of my cabinet that are here. Jim Ching, our Secretary of Commerce and Trade, Dr. Bill Hazel, our Secretary of Health and Human Resources. And I'm sure there's others floating around, but those are our two cabinet members that are here. Our Commissioner of we've renamed it this year. Every time I get the acronym right, you change it over there, Richard. But anyway, thanks for coming again. And let me just talk to you for just a minute about a couple things that we're doing this session. I think first and foremost, I'd be remiss if I didn't at least mention again the concerns that all of us share in Virginia about the security of the state of Israel. Having been over there for a life-changing mission back in 2007. I did talk to you rather extensively about that after that as I toured with about 12 attorneys general, current and former. It is still amazing to me over these 60 years that the Jewish state has been in existence, surrounded by people surrounded by nations that have either directly or indirectly talked about the destruction of the state of Israel that has continued to grow and prosper, and in fact it has now achieved a population about the size of Virginia, which I think is an interesting parallel. But today, of course, with the unrest in Israel that is in Egypt, which at least for most of the last several decades at least has helped to create a sense of stability within the region, at least on the borders to the south and west of Israel. There is obviously great concern now about what is happening over there, and I certainly know that everybody is concerned about that and praying for wisdom for our Secretary of State and our President to make the right decisions to help that situation turn out as well as it can, given the other challenges that Israel faces to neighbors to the north and the east and farther to the east that have been overtly hostile over the last decade. So I certainly believe that our government, our federal government, has the best interest of Israel at heart. I certainly hope that continues to be the case, certainly in the Congress as well as the executive branch, because the relationship between America and Israel is a treasured one that, from a spiritual standpoint, goes back millennia. From a public affairs standpoint, goes back formally now for some 60-plus years. But I can tell you certainly that as governor of Virginia, we're going to continue to do everything we can to strengthen the bonds of friendship, of cultural exchange, of education, of trade between Israel and Virginia for these next few years.